For a couple of years, the workhorse of this channel has been these Canons. This one is a Canon Vixia HF R800, and the one that's filming is a 600. This is my new one, but unfortunately I was swinging the excavator around and I knocked into it, and when I did that I tipped it off its tripod, and ever since that's what I get. You can see I got a dent in the battery pack. They're a lithium, but so far it's been running the other camera, and that's kind of my issue, is I have extra batteries and whatnot. So I have been very happy with them. The only thing I don't like is the field of focus. They're a little too zoomed in. Given what I've got for them, given how pleased I've been with them, given the fact that this is 100% my fault, I've got another one coming, which I wanted to do like I wanted a hole in the head. I got another one coming, and I have a lens kit for it so that I have a little wider depth of field. Now I looked around, and the one that I'm filming with has got weld splatter on the screen. It's one of the two sides. I'm sure you noticed it. It drives me kind of crazy, and either I need to zoom in editing, or you have to deal with that. This one's lens is perfect and clean and clear. My thought was, since they appear to be basically identical, I believe it's only a software issue, can I pull this one apart and maybe that affects is a sensor that's come loose or a cable that's come undone, and if not, can I pull the lens assembly out of this and put it in that one and have two of them going? I figure I've got no risk on this one. Okay, I take it apart as long as I don't break it. What have I got to lose? That one up there, of course, is a running camera, and I gotta be a little more careful with it. So that's the goal. I'm hoping I can take this apart, find an obviously unplugged something, wiggle it back into place, and Bob will be my uncle. Failing that, what can I remove this lens assembly and well, I was going to say that the shutter, the lens cover, appears to be jammed on this one. But I got a protective cover coming, so even that doesn't matter. Can I pull this assembly out and stick it in that one so I have another running Canon without the effects? There is an iFixit on how to take that one that I'm using apart, and I'll link to that in the video description. But basically it's just a crap ton of little tiny Phillips. Well, now we've definitely answered at least part of it. This would not be very difficult to remove this lens assembly and put it up there with you guys. See, we know it's coming out of the camera itself, because the touchscreen is still working properly. It just, somehow we factory reset the thing, so it just made me go back through all of that. So that definitely answers the question. It wasn't in any of those little ribbon cables, any of these buttons. I think that's the microphone right there, one of the microphones. So it's definitely further inside here. Pull that little tiny clip apart. Shoot, looks like I'm getting that out of frame. It's depressingly dirty in there, but that makes sense for one of my cameras, I suppose. Okay, so our damage is either inside this somehow, which I imagine is very, very likely. Or it's on this board. So the question remains, how much do I care about those video effects? Well, I'll pull the back of it off, right? So there's our stepper motor that drives the focusing. That must be the linear worm gear. My working theory is that the board is okay because the screen still works properly and everything fires up. It'll still set date and time and all the rest of that. That's my current working theory, is that since all that is okay, it's probably fine. Also, it makes sense to me that this is the weakest link in the chain. The tripod was all the way up, so when it tipped over, it probably tipped over 5 feet onto rocks hard enough to permanently dent the battery case, so it fell directly backwards. Bang! That's why I was kind of hoping I would see, the possibility of something unplugging. But these ribbon cables have been in there so tight, I get all puckered up pulling them apart, and the main connection board is a press-on clip, and it was on tight as well. My working theory is that this is junk. So this camera that I'm filming this currently works. It is also basically the only one I have left. I have a super cheap GoPro clone with a bunch of metal slag stuck to it. And I've got another clone and a new, whatever this is, HF 800 on its way. I also have purchased the 43mm screw-in lens covers that would have saved at least this camera from the nasties had I had used it before. Is it worth it to me? That's been a great camera. It's, 3-4 years old now, and it's certainly been around the block. My current plan, I think, is take this one down. Obviously I won't be able to film it. I'm going to pull it apart. I am going to put this nose piece on it after I clean it. This nose piece, this lens assembly. Then I'll put the rest of it in a plastic bag and save it for parts. I guess as long as I've come this far, why don't I take this front cover off? that piece right there. Luckily I'm doing this in a dust-free clean room environment. If you've been with me from the beginning, you're about to go on a ride with me because I'm going to shut you off. I'm going to take that camera down and I'm going to take it apart. So either this will be the end of the video, in which case you'll just get some static and the words "I done blanked up," or I will rejoin you here in a bit without those imaging spots and a Franken-camera. Well, that's not a good sign. I'm not even flexible enough to cross my fingers. Oh, here's hoping I see you on the other side. Are we back? I think we're back. Unless you guys can't hear sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So if you guys can't hear sound, then I didn't get it right. Otherwise, I believe we have returned to prove she's now a Franken-camera. You can kind of see the white. So what I opted to do, don't tell my wife I took that. I opted to switch two parts. I switched the front lens assembly. I originally did that, if I'm honest, just so it looked cool. And then when I was doing it, my argument was this thing had been open and closed a lot more than the white one, because this camera is quite a bit older. But to be totally honest, the white one's lens shutter actually worked worse. Works fine now that I cleaned it. I switched that and I switched this, and my argument here is that this focal adjust had been used a lot more again on the black one. A little ways I'm disappointed because the white one is all beat up along one side here. So my camera is now black here and on the bottom instead of white all the way around. A Franken-camera. But it looks like we had some success. I'm just going to put all these parts in a Ziploc bag and put them in the camera box, what this camera here came in. Now on eBay right now is the focal barrel, this part, for a 600 camera. And having taken the two apart, I really think, I'm going to put this back together for giggles, I really think that I could probably buy and swap that piece out. But that piece is like $100 on eBay, which is half the price of a new camera. I think it's one thing to put the lens off the older model and the side covers off the older model, but it seems silly to put the guts off the older model. Although I will admit I see no difference between the two. I think most of it is marketing hype and maybe software. Whatever. Maybe now you'll be able to see the artifact on this. It's right at the tip of the... You gonna focus? It's right at the tip of that screwdriver. Hit it with a piece of welding slag. So if you have one of these and you're successful in repairing yours, go and buy the 43mm screw-in things. I'll try to put the link to where I got mine. They were dirt cheap. It's $5. So I bought two of them. And I'll put one in this old camera. That would have kept the dust out of the inside and kept the shutter mechanism working. and it would have saved the spot off that camera lens. Well, yeah, I don't know. Success. Kind of shows you how dirty they were inside. You know, the last thing I filmed with this, I was drilling and blasting rock, so it gets a fair bit of dust egress. Oh, I'm thrilled. I will say that these Canon Vixias have been workhorses for our channel. No cameras I've used have lasted as long as these, and I've really been quite happy with them, largely. You know, I know a lot of you guys use like the regular camera body ones, and lots of folks use their fancy phones, and I can only say, that must be nice. They don't take a particularly good snapshot, but man, they've been a lot of places. This unfortunately got rotted up riding on the dash of one of the work trucks up a mountainside, and it vibrated, and dash was covered in filth, and it just ate into it. And then the scratches are largely from the time it took a tumble. Alright, I've been pleased. Hopefully you're pleased with yours. Hopefully your project works. I plan to continue enjoying my Franken cameras, and if Canon ever sees this, hey, I've been pleased. There's your unbiased, I paid for everything opinion. Even though I'm taking it apart to fix it, I've been pleased.